Following up on what needs to be done, we have Jeanette Iren Moen with us. She is Assistant Director at the Federation of Norwegian Industries and have been thinking thoroughly on how we can create a system of politics and finance models that enables a sustainable business case for industrial CCS. Welcome, Jeanette. We are glad you could join us today and excited to hear your presentation.
Well, thank you, Eivind. I hope you can all see my presentation now. CCS is more important than ever to reach the climate goals, and the return of the US through the climate negotiations also gave a clear signal that they prioritize CCS. You know, as the former presentations also said, CCS have had its ups and downs throughout the years, but things are changing. More projects are underway, and just before Christmas, 4 European CCS projects got funding from the EU Innovation Fund. And we are, of course, very disappointed that Fortum was not on the list, but still, it's very good news that Europe is coming along. When the processing industry made their first roadmap to zero emissions in 2016, this was groundbreaking work. And this shows you the emissions and emission reduction potential by different technologies in the processing industry towards 2050. And as you can see, the industry will not succeed to reach the 2050 goals without CCS. I've made my own abbreviation of CCS because it's good for the climate, the competitiveness of industry, and for maintaining and developing sustainable jobs. The Longship project lays the foundation for what can be. It can boost the learning curve and contribute to lowering the cost for future projects. We believe that Fortum should have been part of the phase 1 of Longship, but nevertheless, I'm very pleased that the company so clearly states that they will keep working to realize their project. But to get back on track, they will need risk relief measures, and public-private partnership is necessary. And this is also the case for other projects on the way, and there are many of them in Norway. This is a selection of projects collected by CCUS Norway. It is not complete and still working projects. Some of the projects are on the drawing board, some are investigating opportunities, others have signed letters of intent, some are piloting and testing, and others are more or less well on the way. And there are more. For example, Barents Blue in Hammerfest recently got 482 million kroner from Enova. The project is also part of IPCEI, Important Projects of Common European Interest for hydrogen. They are going to build the first large-scale plant for low-emission ammonia. The blue ammonia will use stranded gas from the Goliath oil field, but with carbon capture and storage. But there must be a market for low carbon and zero emission products. The road from one of a kind, be a first mover, to possibly to be a market leader can be long and bumpy. So what will it take? Well, you need infrastructure. And then you need framework conditions for carbon capture, both national support and EU support. You need public procurement and you need new industry standards. Regulatory barriers must be dealt with. The EU emission trading system will also contribute when the price gets higher, and so will sustainable finance. You know, the EU taxonomy can be an important driver for CCS projects and products in the future. And then you need to go from tailor-made solutions to more standardized system for carbon capture to get the prices down. EU offers several support measures. You've got the EU Innovation Fund, you've got Climate Contract for Difference, which we believe will be more widespread in the future. You've got Connecting Europe facilities, you've got Horizon Europe, and you've got the EU Investment Bank, who can provide loans and guarantees. The Federation of Norwegian Industries believe that Norway, being the front runner for CCS in Europe, should initiate and take lead to establish an IPCEI for CCS. Such a formal partnership will promote even more cooperation across Europe and be a driver to scale up, contribute to new innovative solutions and cost reductions that we still need. Our government have stated that they want to form climate partnerships with industry as a way to combine climate gas reductions and industrial growth. We salute this, but for industry, it's important that increased expectations and lowering emissions and possible new framework conditions are adjusted to different sectors' emissions profile, competitiveness, and ability to invest in new technology. And we will need measures, tools, and commitment also from the government. And CCS must be on the agenda. You know, the EU Innovation Fund is an important contributor, but the competition for funding is hard. So we also need national risk relief. We suggest to establish a national fund. It could either be a dedicated CCS fund or part of a larger CO2 fund, but still with funding dedicated to CCS. We have excellent experience with public-private partnerships and fund solutions in Norway. So how can we do it? Well, you need governmental targets for capture volume. To finance such a fund, you can use part of the upcoming increase in the CO2 taxation, and you can use part of the increasing income from the ETS systems, and maybe also a small member fee. Grants can come as carbon contracts for difference. This will secure a guaranteed price and predictability for the investors. And you also need to prevent overcompensation. And that's why you need a refund mechanism. And last but not least, the fund must be open both to the ETS and non-ETS sectors. Such a fund will have several advantages. Grants will be kept away from the state budget. It can trigger competition between the projects. It can combine government and business ambitions. A fund will set requirements to the companies who win grants. And the fund can complement other framework conditions and support schemes, both at national and EU level. A lot of what will happen on CCS will be based on the competence from the oil and gas value chain. Being here in Stavanger, I will therefore end my presentation on reminding us on how we can build on the competence we already have. Whether this is transport and pipeline competence, methods to develop and qualify new technology, high competence and capability to plan and execute large projects, world-leading ATS standards, experience with reservoirs and geology offshore, and having a complete value chain and willingness to develop and implement CCS, we can provide capture technology in processing industry, waste incineration, produce hydrogen, develop mobile standards and solutions for carbon capture, direct air capture, CCUS, BECCS. The opportunities are endless. You know, Longship is only at the beginning. Let's begin the real CCS dugnad. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. I hope the State Secretary was listening to your message, and if not, we make sure to repeat it at the Tekna CO2 conference next week. Thank you very much, Jeanette.